Look, I have some guests with me, Luis and David, y vamos a hacerlo todo en español. ¿Qué les
Muy bien.
parece?
Perfecto.
Para que sí los hispanohablantes puedan estar con nosotros. No, I can't do it in Spanish. They'll get mad at me. And sorry I moved early. But I have two of my friends here, Luis and David, to talk about something that I'm super excited about called AI at scale. So let's start with an introduction really quickly. We'll start with you, David, and then you, Luis.
Yeah, David Carmona. I run the AI innovation team, so thought leadership and marketing on our coolest technologies around AI and innovation. So very cool job.
Luis.
Thank you. I'm a partner technical advisor in the office of the CTO, coordinating our AI at scale strategy.
Fantastic. So let's start first. What is AI at scale? We'll start with you, Luis.
AI at scale is a new exciting trend where AI models are growing between 10 to 100 times per year. By doing this, our models are getting a very rich understanding of language, vision, speech, and combinations of all of these different types of data as well into something that we call multimodality. We have been talking about some examples of these models with Turing, for example, for language understanding, and OpenAI's GPT-3 model, which we have been talking about quite a bit lately for language generation. So this new trend has been enabled by a few things that happened in the past couple of years. First, the discovery of a new model architecture that we call transformer, which basically allows us to parallelize the training of these models much more effectively than we could before. So we're really just at this point constrained by compute. Another thing is a new training approach that we call self-supervised learning, where models are really learning from just looking at unlabeled data and solving a bunch of masking tasks. And as they repeat this hundreds of millions to billions of times, they get really good at understanding the underlying concepts of the data. Another thing has been the data itself. We have huge amounts of data that are being generated by the internet. And finally, the large amounts of compute that are facilitated by the Azure cloud that allows to bring together hundreds, thousands, and very soon tens of thousands of GPUs to allow us to bring all of this compute power together.
That's cool.
Plus on the technical side, maybe...
yeah, on the business side, what does this mean for businesses, David?
Yeah, so one of the coolest things that we're learning about these models is that they are more generic. So you can train them once and then you can apply to multiple tasks or multiple scenarios or even multiple domains or industries. And you do that by customizing the model. So you take that pre-trained model and then you can fine-tune the model, or even in an easier or more amazing ways that you can also provide just a few examples where we call like the few shot learning, or even out of the box, it can take new tasks and we call that the zero shot learning, right? So at the end, this is a game changer because it allows you to reuse these models instead of starting from scratch on them and apply them to your scenarios.
Awesome. So how do we get started with AI at scale? We'll go to you, Luis.
A couple of options. The fastest, easiest way is to go and access the APIs themselves that contain the capabilities of these models. For example, in Azure Cognitive Services or Azure Cognitive Search or Power Virtual Agent. So using these APIs, you can very quickly use the capabilities of these very large models that we're training for things like text analytics, search, Q&A, bots, conversational experiences, etc. And you can always customize this to your own data. Besides this, we have a Turing private preview that we're running where you can get access to the Turing models themselves, and you can customize this to whatever task you want to use in your organization. And you can do this through the Azure Machine Learning Service. And both options are building on our state-of-the-art software platform. So all of the optimizations that we have built in the past and that we have open source things like DeepSpeed and the Onyx compiler and runtime, as well as the world-class infrastructure that we have, where you can use anything from 8 GPUs of the latest NVIDIA GPUs that we have in the platform, all the way to 4,000 GPUs interconnected by the fastest networks inside of the machine and across the machines.
All right, David, how do we use AI at scale at Microsoft? Over to you. We have about 2 minutes, by the way.
No, I think I can actually go back because it's a good example of what I was mentioning before. So in the past, we traditionally develop new models in Microsoft by every team, right? So you work in the Office team, you develop your own NLP models, for example, right? You have to train it from scratch. And now what we do is that we have a centralized team creating this Turing model, and the rest of the company, the rest of the teams are customizing that model. And there are many features that you are already using probably today that are using that approach. So in Word, you have the text prediction, semantic search. You have a lot in Bing, of course. In Outlook, you have the auto reply, the meeting insights, many technologies. And of course, in Azure Connected Services, using inside of them already this approach. And you have Azure Search and many others. So if you think about it, it's like using AI as a platform. So these teams are leveraging that AI as a platform inside Microsoft. And the good news, thanks to the stack that Luis was mentioning, is that will be available also for the rest of developers out there. So in the future, we will see companies just like we see Office or Dynamics doing that in Microsoft, just taking these pre-trained models and applying them to their scenarios. Super excited.
Cool. So we'll stick with you, David. What's next, and how do folks find out more? We got about 50 seconds.
What's next? You want me to take that first?
Yeah.
I'm of course amazed with everything that has to do with the learning of these models, like multimodality, like Luis was mentioning before. But I think we also have to get excited about all the innovation that is happening on the responsible use of these AI technologies in areas like bias mitigation, transparency, privacy, where there's a lot going on.
All right, we'll stick with you, David. Where can people go to find out more?
aka.ms/AI at scale.
That's fantastic. You know, it's always a pleasure hanging out with you, David and Luis, talking about AI at scale. It's pretty amazing stuff. Make sure you check it out. There's a link down there that just went away, but make sure you go there.